Hi, Rocky. Hi, Lauren. Hi, Natalie. Hi, Chandra. You guys, I'm a little biased, but I think that we have an incredible panel. We have so much to talk about, how we're going to change the game, how we're going to change the narrative for working moms. I want the three of you real quick to introduce yourselves, and then I'll follow up after the three of you go and tell you a little bit about me too. Lauren, you want to start?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Lauren Tetenbaum, and I am a mom of two young kids. I'm a social worker licensed in New York, where I work as a therapist and a coach to millennial and young women. I also used to be a lawyer, and I bring my passion for women's advocacy to my current work as a writer, speaker, and leader of various fundraising initiatives.
Amazing. Natalie.
Hi, everybody. I'm Natalie Wennerstrom, and I am the Vice President of the HR Business Partner team at CDW. I've been in HR for 18 years in the hospitality and tech industries. And 12 years ago, when I joined CDW, 3 months later, I was pregnant with my first. So I've had both my children in my tenure at CDW. I have a blended family of 5 children, 4 boys under the age of 10. And I like to say that I have rocket launch logistics and planning every single day. So to be at this panel, dressed up and in the office, a lot has already happened. And I think many can relate to that. So excited to share my experiences.
Chandra.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chandra Sanders, the Vice President of RISE at the Mom Project, and I am on a mission to help create economic opportunities for mothers and women of color. I started my career a long time ago as a high school Spanish teacher, but pivoted multiple times to leading product development at multiple Fortune 100 companies. And so now I'm taking everything that I've been through, every pivot that I've been through, every upgrade that I've been through, every challenge that I've been through as a mom, because I do have 3 kids, and I'm taking all of that and really empowering the many women and women of color at the Mom Project.
Yeah, that's awesome. And for those of you joining, my name's Paula Faris, and we talk a lot about pivoting and mothers re-entering the workforce or trying to figure out what's next. I had a big pivot a couple of years ago. I left network news. I was at Good Morning America and The View, and I had a chance to really pursue this passion that had been in my heart for a really long time. And that is to champion working moms. I know working moms were paid less, were scrutinized more, and were valued less. So I wanted to be part of that change, to do something about it. I formed Carry Media, which means we want to help carry mothers through these touch points in their lives. So I formed Carry Media about a year and a half ago. And we exist to champion working moms through content resources and storytelling. Being a working mom should work. So what we're going to do today, dive into changing the game for working moms, how we can reframe the narrative. But you guys, before we even talk about like what we can do to support mothers and families in the workforce, I feel like we even have to back it up a little bit, because I've got a book coming out in 2 weeks called You Don't Have to Carry It All, Ditch the Mom Guilt and Find a Better Way Forward. And I've noticed that so many people don't really understand that they have a responsibility to support mothers in the workplace, to support families. I think that so many of the issues we face as a society are a direct result to how we treat mothers in the workforce. So before we talk about the what we can do, let's talk about the why. Why is it important to support mothers in the workplace? Why does the workplace need our voice and our vision? Lauren, do you want to start it out?
Sure. And I'm so excited for your book. We need it more than ever after COVID, or we're still in it. Women's participation in the paid labor force in the US is the lowest it's been in more than 30 years. And we've really gone back an entire generation. This has practical consequences for women's ability to earn an income, make strides in the workforce, and earn financial independence. And it impacts their emotional and mental health. So many moms want to and need to work. And we've seen now that the system is not built for them. But moms offer so much to the workplace. I know that everyone here understands. Studies have shown that moms are efficient, they lead with empathy, and they offer so much to the workforce and to future generations to make it more equitable for our children.
Natalie, you're already doing so much, and I can't wait to hear more about what you're doing from a human resources perspective. But why do you think why do we even have to have this conversation talking about why we need to value mothers in the workplace?
Yeah, I concur with everything you said, Lauren, and I'll just share my own perspective given my role. Someone that works in succession planning for the organization, looking at promotional opportunities, how we hire and develop and groom women to be successful with powerful voices in our organization. I might be biased, but we're just oftentimes, I think, providing a better perspective, greater levels of skills, collaboration, EQ, getting things done. I always say you can rely on a working mom to get more things done in a day than many teams will get done in a month. So I think it's not only enabling the culture that we want to create and be a part of, but the reality is just how the work gets done, I think, is advantageous to organizations, and especially organizations that want to tap into this kind of underserved population of women that are motivated and ultimately want to have the financial independence to have and earn their own income as well. So I think it's unfortunate that we are where we are, but I do think, if anything, one of the blessings of COVID is the life in balance concept is being played out every day in most organizations. And I think the barriers and the sort of box that working moms were put in, those borders have somewhat dissipated. So you can work from anywhere, you can be productive and sort of live your life and align to your priorities and still achieve outcomes through your career.
That's good. Chandra?
Sorry, had to unmute. Okay, so as we've heard, many, many times over the last couple of years, women, and more specifically women of color, are in the fight of our lives as we run the risk of unraveling decades worth of workplace equality progress. And stopping that dramatic backslide in workplace equality requires immediate action to impact and shape the potential future state of not just the workplace, but the economy as well. Women are 1.8 times more likely than men to have lost their jobs due to the pandemic, and women of color are 2 times as likely to have lost their jobs compared to other populations. And all signs indicate that, and have indicated that, women and women of color are the hardest hit. And it's because of the lack of remote work, the lack of flexibility. There are childcare concerns. There's so much uncertainty. So it's time that we do something now in order to stop that backslide.
Yeah. Natalie, I can't wait to talk a little bit more about what mothers uniquely bring to the workforce and how we can really channel that and advocate for it. But before we even dive into that, like, one thing that I found in just researching, how we can give working moms the support they need, is that it benefits everyone to support mothers in the workplace. If we make it more difficult for families to have children, we'll have fewer children. We'll have fewer children, which means we'll have fewer laborers. If we have fewer laborers, then we have economic crisis. So it's not only the right thing to do for the employers that are listening to this, it's actually good for your bottom line. And when you look at, again, why is this my problem? Well, 70% of moms will be the primary breadwinner for their family at some point in time. And if we continue this cycle of inequity when it comes to gender pay disparity, mothers make 70 cents on the dollar. Chandra, you mentioned women of color make even less than that. If we continue those inequities, then we're going to have some societal issues for further future. So, but okay, so let's dive into specifically what each of you are doing. So maybe Natalie, I'll ask you first, because I know you're super passionate about this, and because you're a mother, you bring such voice and vision to the leadership and your roles at HR. What are you and your company doing to support this cause? And again, those that are listening, we have employees and we also have employers. So maybe you can give some employers some ideas of specifically, tactically, what they can do to support mothers and women in the workplace.
Sure. So I'll share an example, at least initially, and then how this has grown. That's a little bit more grassroots. So I joined CDW. I'm literally working like 2.5 months and I'm like, oh no, I'm pregnant. I hope I'll be eligible for FMLA. I made it by like a week, which was awesome. So I'm coming back to this high stress job. I have an infant at home that's in daycare, trying to figure this out. And at the time for me, I'm like, if I'm feeling this way and I'm in a role where I can do something about it, I presume other women are feeling the same thing, where it feels daunting to come back to work. And how are you going to manage it all? And the guilt of dropping your kid off at daycare every day and never feeling like you're good enough. And so that idea, and also practically, not to be TMI, I was like nursing at the same time, which is a whole other slew of issues. So I'm like, you know what? I need like a support group. And so I literally was like socializing and crowdsourcing women in the organization of, would you be interested in something like this? And we actually developed a partnership with an outside organization called Transitions into Parenting, where we had labor and delivery nurses come into our buildings. They were lactation consultants. They talked about infant sleeping. They talked about nutrition, et cetera. And that was because I wanted it. And I felt like other people could benefit. And eventually that grew into a program that men and women, parents, new parents, returning moms could take advantage of. In addition to that, I would say we have a pretty alive and well women's resource community. So we have our women's resource group. We have a female CEO in tech, which is a unicorn in and of itself. And 47% of our executive committee is women. So I would say we have a power female cohort within the CDW community globally that are all moms themselves, right? So I think a lot of the narrative and the rhetoric is being driven from the top, but also our culture is very much grassroots as well. And so we believe passionately in supporting moms, specifically the disparity within the technology industry of female representation. It's really important for us to ensure that we're capitalizing on available talent in the market and creating the environments where they feel like they can achieve it all, as cliche as that sounds, but they feel like they have the support of their company. So in conclusion, it started out as a passion for me, selfishly, because I was in that position. And so if I can pay that forward in my role, and I think that's what employers should do, is find those passionate people, put them in a group and empower them to do good for your company.
I think it's such a great example, Natalie. You know, I really think one way we can really change the game for moms is making sure that moms are at the decision-making table, because look at the vision and leadership that you have since becoming a mom. We talk about how it increases our capacity, but like moms need to be at the decision-making table. We need to be the ones helping to inform policy. I think that's how we really change the game. Lauren, you know, in the mental health industry and in your sphere as a therapist, you know, what more can companies do to support mothers? And we know, again, this is good for your bottom line. It's not just the right thing to do. Mothers and fathers, when you take care of them through policies, they're extremely loyal. They don't leave. And we know one of the greatest costs of doing business for companies these days is the retention. People are leaving. So from a mental health perspective, just the emotional health, you know, burnout records, like they're off the charts. 90% of working moms are feeling burnout. What can we do to support mothers in the workplace? What can companies do?
Thank you for this question. Companies can ask working parents what they want and actually listen. I would start there, because as was mentioned earlier, now there's this trend to go back to the office, things like that. There are more rigid policies in place, and that may work for some people, but the majority of my clients want flexibility, autonomy, independence. They want to and need to work, and they want to be part of their company. As you said, retention is key, right? And it's expensive to replace and to train someone new. And it also is a negative for our society as a whole, right? When gender inequity is perpetuated. So I would encourage employers to actually listen to what their employees want, and then to give those benefits, which are within reason, like paid leave, salary transparency, pay equity, transparency about what your career path looks like, childcare, mental health coaching, and support groups. I lead several at various companies. And like Natalie, I went into my work because I wanted to provide the support that I wish I had had when I was a mother, and not getting it, quite frankly. So little by little, I think, you know, we are making change. But I always encourage my clients to parent out loud and be their full self at work, because when we're continuing to hide that we have children, nobody wins.
It's so good. And at some point, like, we need to stop apologizing for being moms. We have been equipped with all of these capabilities that we didn't have before. We bring something so unique to the workplace. And guess what? If we don't have kids, we're not going to have a society. So at some point, like, we got to stop apologizing for that and just walk into that. Chandra, Lauren just mentioned some really great ideas Childcare subsidies is one. We get, an offensive $500 for tax break at the end of the year. But like, there's so many creative ways. What are some of the creative ways that you're seeing with the Mom Project that companies are doing to attract and retain? I think moms are the greatest employees in the most underrated workforce on the planet. What are you seeing? What are they doing to attract? I think the top talent in the world and mothers.
Yeah, of course. The Mom Project, with the Mom Project, it all starts with mom, right? And so the Mom Project is on a mission to help unlock $1 billion in economic opportunity for moms within the next 2 years. And that is partnering with companies that are wanting to invite and attract and retain moms in their workforce. But it also starts for the Mom Project with innovation in community, innovation in our product offerings, and the upskilling that we have, right? We know that community is the basis of what moms need at this moment, right? Especially moms who are working. Having that community and building bonds with other women who are going through the same challenges while trying to work, trying to get back into the workforce, and raising kids and having a family and all these things at the same time, having that community really helps to keep us going, right? We're not alone in this journey, right? So the community is extremely important. But also the Mom Project is also being innovative with product offerings to ensure that we're giving moms every opportunity that they can to either get back to work or find other ways to, earn incomes, right? But with Rise, which is my initiative that I lead at the Mom Project, we are upskilling mothers, women of color, and providing no-cost opportunities to gain digital skills. So that they can get access to economic opportunities, so that they can get access to more remote or flexible opportunities, right? And so those are just a couple of things in which the Mom Project is doing to really help moms own their power and take all of that power and the community and all those things back into the economy and the workforce.
And I think companies, first of all, yes, I think you do have a responsibility because children are our future. They're either our greatest natural resource in this country or they're not, right? Families are the bedrock of our country. So there is a responsibility, but it doesn't have to be like they think, oh, it's got to be 6 months family leave. I've seen in my work with Carrie and in writing this book, companies getting really creative ways, like paying for summer camp for the children of their employees. Or this is one that I love. They pay for house cleaning. Okay. They don't give them a stipend. They actually say, you go pick it out. You pick out who you want to clean your home and then give me the receipt, because they know that moms will, if given $250 or whatever it is, we're going to spend it on groceries and our kids. It's little things like that that breed loyalty. And it has been shown time and time again, if you take care of parents on your roster, they are so loyal. They will not leave. They are incredible. They're very productive. And you change the culture for families. It's going to also benefit everybody on your roster, even the single guy who likes to surf. So now one of my favorite areas of discussion, you guys, I get super geeked and you can't tell that I'm passionate about this, can you? Is what we uniquely bring to the workforce as mothers, the science behind it, the psychology behind it, what it has done to us. I have a friend, he says that mothers are the most underrated workforce on the planet. I memean, parenting is essentially a masterclass in vision, leadership, empathy, courage. Like we've gone off the charts in all of these. So, Natalie, do you want to pick it up? I mean, you're a mom. You have 1,000 boys, by the way. I mean, I can't imagine your household.
Yeah.
What do you think from your experience as a mother, but also an executive? You're on the other side of it. What do moms uniquely bring to the workplace?
A lot of what we've said, but again, to me, the capacity to get so many things done, because the reality is the work we do at the home, in the workplace, it's ambiguous. It requires a lot of zooming in. It requires zooming out. It requires dealing with difficult people, whether they be your children or your coworkers. So I think the level of EQ, I think the level of commitment and passion, because I think last time I checked, moms don't take sick days. We're never like, I'm going to take a little time out and go golfing. Like, we're in it all the time. And so that level of commitment and rigor to apply to the next generation is the same level of commitment and rigor and passion that we bring to work. And so for me, specifically women in leadership, which is a specific focus area that we have within our organization, female leaders, again, I think have that unique balance. maybe not universally, but more times than not, of balancing nurture with directive and accountability, because it is like parenting, right? A lot of times leading teams and leading people. And so I think it's also an area where if you see other women doing it and doing it successfully, and I saw in the chat this notion of parenting out loud, I think that is so important. That is a core ideal to how I lead my team. I don't apologize for logging off early to go do things for my kids. I don't apologize about exercising in the middle of the day. And guess what? My work gets done. My team's productive. And I think we need to stop feeling bad and just own who we are, lean into our own success. And I think with that level of confidence and recognition, that can translate into doors opening, different opportunities. And the last thing I'll say is if you're in an organization that doesn't value you, don't be in that organization. Doesn't mean don't have a plan, but there are plenty of companies, as our society continues to mature and really lean into the values that mom brings. You want to be in an organization that values your contribution. And if you're not, I think really making sure that your work values align with the life values that you have is really important.
And Chandra, Work Labs has done a lot of research on this and how becoming a mother, becoming a parent, it has kind of equipped you to become an incredible leader and employee. I've learned that scientifically we become more empathetic and efficient. Our emotional IQ goes through the roof. We're courageous. We're better visionaries. We're leaders. That's why we need moms at the decision-making table. Natalie, like you're at the table making those decisions. But what is some of the research that you've learned from Work Labs? What has that revealed about what moms uniquely bring to the workplace? And just encourage the moms that are watching here that might feel like, what do I bring? You bring a lot.
Oh, a lot. All right. So let me just start by saying this. There is no training manual to becoming a mom. And because of that, moms are some of the most committed, the most resourceful, the most creative, and the most innovative talent that you'll find. All right. Now I'll get into the Work Labs research. According to Work Labs, which is the research and insights division of the Mom Project, having moms in the workplace leads to 40% greater retention, 12% higher productivity, and a more positive workplace experience overall. And who wouldn't want that, considering all that we've been through as a society and are still experiencing from the last couple of years? So overlooking moms really means missing out on amazing, resourceful, innovative, relevant, productive, and valuable talent. And I must say that moms are a force.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Lauren, and from a psychology therapist standpoint, though, we know all of this stuff. We know that, we hear that we have these superpowers, but yet we've been typecast as the risk and the liability, and we're not paid as much. There's this perception we're counting Cheerios over in the corner. Then there's statistics on top of everything that we just said that talks about what we bring to the workforce as moms, but then women-led companies are typically more profitable. Employees would rather work for employee-led or women-led companies. How can we take all of this knowledge and then step into it? Because that's really hard for a lot of us to do. You heard earlier, we don't ask for raises. We don't make as much. We make 70 cents on the dollar. But we also don't ask for it. We don't ask for raises, and we don't ask for as much of a raise when we do ask for it. So how can we take everything that we've been talking about and step into that and start and advocate for ourselves, even when it's a little uncomfortable?
Well, advocating for yourself is one of my favorite topics. I guess it's the lawyer in me. And to answer this question, I'll go back to your earlier question about what moms uniquely bring, which is among the other qualities that we mentioned, it's perspective. And that's a psychological, mindset. We maybe no longer sweat the small stuff at work when we have our kids' health and development and other issues to worry about, which I think is a really good thing. It doesn't mean that work isn't prioritized. It's just that we bring perspective. And related to that is this idea of we fear advocating for ourselves because women are constantly put down in our culture, in our pop culture, in media, in the workplace for being assertive and for asking for what they deserve. And this has got to change. And so what I would encourage you to shift your perspective. If you want something or feel that you deserve something, such as being valued at work, like Natalie mentioned, and that includes monetary value, right? As well as feeling emotionally valued. and you're afraid of advocating for yourself, I understand that, but know that you're not alone and talk to yourself as if you would encourage your friend or your child, right, to go after something they deserve, and use that perspective, which is based in self-compassion, which is based in self-advocacy, and go for it.
Yeah, and that can be really difficult. You see ERGs, the survey results that I think only like 3% of employees of women feel like they feel comfortable even talking about it. I did a lot of research for my book that comes out about ways that we can advocate for ourselves, even when it's really uncomfortable, but what companies can do, what we can do for ourselves. We also have to invite men into this conversation. But I think one of the biggest solutions is putting mothers at the decision-making table, because I think just with our voice and our vision and our leadership, I think we see things a lot differently, and we need to make sure that being a working mom works. We aren't held to these archaic standards that currently exist and currently discriminate against us. Okay, final question, you guys. I feel like we could talk forever, by the way. Takeaways. We want everybody to take something away, if you haven't already, from an employer and employee perspective. How can those watching, how can we take action to make change and continue to break the barriers for moms? What is your best advice? And keep in mind, we have employees and we have employers that are watching. Natalie, you want to jump in?
Sure. I would say for us individually, what we can do, and I think I've learned this myself, right? I think we're very hard on ourselves, right? It's like Pinterest momming, like we're never doing enough. And I think giving yourself grace, advocating for your own self-care, not apologizing for your own needs, right? Because if mom's well, everyone's well.
Right.
I'd say at work, surrounding yourself with the right support, advocates, sponsors, and mentors. Ask for support. I mentor tons of moms in my company because they asked for it, and I'd love to invest my time in people that are seeking it out. Support other moms yourselves, right? Like we all know when we're struggling and we could use an ear or a support. And then lastly, I would say for employers, not that CDW is perfect, but I'm proud to be a part of this company, the things that we've done. And I think it is a travesty of epic proportions if companies are not yet solving for this. And this is not a key strategic priority for talent retention. There's companies that are figuring it out. So if you are looking at getting something started and evangelizing sort of a call to action, learn from other companies that have done it and done it successfully.
It's good. It's really good. Chandra, you want to take on that question?
Of course. So I'm going to say two things, right? What can we do? Number one, community is so important, and support is so important, especially for those who are pivoting into new areas, just getting back into the workforce. Like, you have to be very careful when you're advocating and ensuring that you are still creating space for you to continue to move, especially as a woman of color. You have to be careful in certain areas. And so that's very important. So having that community to help you navigate these spaces, especially maybe if you are like that you're just starting your career journey, right? Like, ask other people, get a mentor to figure out how you navigate spaces. And on the other side, the employer side, right? Allies. We need allies. Moms can't do this alone. We need other people who, can think back to their childhood and saw how hard their mom worked, right? And just kind of think back and look at all the moms and really understand what moms go through, but also understand why it's important to have moms in the workspace. So mentorship, community, and allyship are really what we need in order to continue to break barriers for moms and to make change.
Lauren, you want to take us home, Lauren?
Sure. And it's funny because we did not discuss our answers, but we all have similar ones for this question, which is get community, get support. Yes. Look at this community we have here. We're all cheering each other on. It is not easy, and that's not your fault. But if we keep speaking up together, we truly can change the narrative.
Agreed. And I'll just take us out, you guys. Thank you so much. But I think it's a couple of things. It's before we can even talk about policy and changing policy in society, we need an attitudinal shift And that attitude needs to be that children are our greatest natural resource and families need to be invested in. So it's an attitude shift in our country that instead of your kid, your problem, it needs to be I'm my brother's keeper. We're investing in these children, and then the policy, and then the culture will catch up. But I think something that we can do is just stop trying to carry it all. I think we feel like we have to wear this mom martyr badge, and we can carry it for a while, but then our arms will grow tired and we'll burn out. And that's why we're burnt out at record levels. So I would just encourage you, say, don't try to carry it all. Like Chandra said, find your community, ask for help. It's not a dirty word. It is not a dirty word to ask for help. And I'm not saying outsourcing. Outsourcing is great too. I know not everybody can afford that. And that's a whole nother thing. Other countries make it more affordable, and it's not a burden to become a parent. They have such infrastructure and interdependence, but ask for help. You can't do this alone. You're going to drop balls every single day. This is what I tell my kids. I'm going to drop a ball every single day, but I'm going to keep the glass balls in the air and I'm going to let the plastic ones fall. Just know you can't carry it all. You can't do it all. And you're a good mom. You really are a good mom. And by the way, if you want to read this book, 20% off, there's codes everywhere. I'd love for you to support the book, support the message. Being a working mom should work, but it's all about how we can give working moms like you the support that they need and deserve in this country. So you guys, Lauren, Natalie, Chandra, I think we rocked it.
Of course we did.
We did, didn't we? Thank you for your honesty and your insight and your advice. I think that this was just really incredible. And I'm going to turn things over to one of my favorite people, Rocky Howard. Rocky, thank you for the honor and privilege of moderating this panel.